Okay, so here we go with part two video of Act 3, Scene 1. It's curious that Macbeth has hired murderers, considering he already committed the murder that he had planned to commit. So, what might he need two murderers for? Any ideas? Anyone wondering? Who we might want to murder. Was there any foreshadowing earlier? Yes, of course. He's concerned about Banquo. But would he be that low, that despicable of a human being to murder not only his best friend, but a father, a loyal servant? Um, and the answer is yes. Yes, he's that despicable. So in this particular version, this gentleman right here is Banquo, and he's talking to two people who are known by nothing other than murderers. So they don't have much of an identity. That speaks volumes about them. And we'll see what Banquo says. Oh, snap. Do you see what he just did there? Okay, so he's hired the murderers. And apparently, he has to convince the murderers to carry through with the killing of none other than Banquo. I do find it a little surprising that you have to convince people who are only known as murderers to go through with a murder. I would think that, whatever money incentive you give them would be, motivation enough. But Macbeth just goes a step further here and says to them, have you considered of my speeches? This isn't the first time that he has spoken to these murderers. We didn't get to see the first conversation. So obviously, some time has passed since he's become king. He had time to find murderers, chat with these murderers, and get their feel for what he wants them to do. And apparently, their lives aren't that great. He says it was he, Banquo, in times past, who held you so under fortune. So Macbeth uh, is not taking responsibility for any problems they've had in their lives, but there's a strong likelihood that Macbeth might be responsible, and he's just projecting that responsibility onto Banquo. And he says, this I made good to you in our last conference. This is how we know he already spoke with the murderers, passed on to you how you were born in hand, how crossed the instruments who wrought with them. So basically, he's saying here, I gave you all the details, okay? I gave you all the information that you needed so that you would be aware that Banquo is the reason that your lives are in the crapper, is what he's saying. So he's trying to give the motive beyond just, maybe doing the king a favor or maybe just paying them. So he wants them to feel inspired or motivated. He wants to also make them angry and feel like this is something they really, really need to do. Okay, so he continues here saying that, all right, so we're meeting again so I can reemphasize how you've been betrayed by Banquo. And he's asking these men, why are you so patient about this? Why are you just like chilling back, like, it's all right, no worries, Banquo. You should be ticked off. You should be doing something about it. What are you, some kind of Bible thumping religious nut who, turns the other cheek? Are you so gospeled to pray for this good man and for his son, Fleance, when Banquo's heavy hand has bowed you to the grave and turned you into a beggar forever? And their response to that is, we are men. And masculinity is one of the overriding theme topics in this play. What does it mean to be a man in Shakespeare's world? And to be a man means to always stand up for yourself, to be tough, to be brutal. So Macbeth is expecting that of these murderers. And Macbeth continues by questioning their manhood. You say you're men. Are you men? There's all types of men, just like there's all types of dogs. So he's asking, what type of men are you? Are you high-ranking men who are true to your masculinity? Are you like low-ranking gutter men who are just wimpy and don't empower yourselves? So Macbeth continues with that.
Water rugs and demi-wolves are cleft all by the name of dog.
So he acknowledges, yes, technically, you are men, technically, but are you men? Like, there's the gender part, but then there's the personality part. There's the being true to this idea of masculinity part. And so Macbeth questions their masculinity. And I don't know if you guys remember, but back in Act One, Lady Macbeth questioned Macbeth's masculinity. He said, we will go no further with this. And she says, are you a man? And he said, I do all that makes me a man. Whoever does more is none. Like, there's no one more masculine than me. And she calls that into question and basically is like, if a real man would do this, like a real man would do this. And so that kind of was the influence that got Macbeth to go ahead and murder the king. So now Macbeth has taken a page out of Lady Macbeth's book, and he's going to play the masculinity card on these murderers. Not sure it's necessary, but for whatever reason, he thinks it's necessary.
Now, fire distinguishes swift, slow, subtle, housekeeper, hunter, everyone according to the gift which bound these things to have. Whoa,
So we all have different gifts, depending on what your occupation is. Some of us are fast, some of us are slow, but anyone who's a man has to be true to the ideas of masculinity, and that's what he's expecting of them.
from the bill that writes them all alike, and so of men. Now, station in the file, not in the worst rank of men. Say, I will put that business in your bosom is excellent.
So it's almost like he's making them feel empowered to kill, even though, they're just murderers anyway. But he said, if you prove to me that you're true men, that you can live up to this idea of masculinity, I'm going to give you a job that's going to prove that to the world. So he says, if you have a station in the file, not in the worst rank of manhood, a true man, if you're a true man, I will put that business in your bosoms whose execution, punny execution, takes your enemy off, is going to kill Banquo, their enemy. So he is not only empowering them, but giving them the right to take a life. He's saying, it's okay by me. So, and a lot of people viewed in this time period that kings were like an extension of God. So they would literally view this as, something coming from God himself.
Wrathful you heart, love of us, who wear our health but sickly in this life, which it is death.
Okay. So life would be perfect if we could eliminate Banquo from the scene, and wouldn't that be great? So the second murderer says to him, I am one, my liege, who the vile blows and buffets of the world have so incensed that I am reckless what I do to spite the world. So I think some key words here are he's incensed, meaning he's incredibly angry at how unfair his life has been, and he is reckless, which means he will stop at nothing to get revenge on anyone who has caused the problems in his life. And according to Macbeth, that would be Banquo. And the other murderer says, and I another, so weary with disaster, tugged with fortune, that I would set my lie on any chance to mend it or be rid on it. So he's thinking, I'll take any opportunity to correct the problems in my life, because if I can't correct those problems, I'd just rather be gone. And so Banquo realizes he is starting to influence them and says, both of you know Banquo was your enemy, and they agree with that. And he says, so is he mine, and in such bloody distance that every minute of his being thrusts against my nearest of life. And though I could, with barefaced power, sweep him from my sight and bid my will avouch it, yet I must not. So he's saying that they have a close bond, he and Banquo, but Banquo is his enemy. Banquo doesn't realize it, but Banquo is his enemy. And he says, I have the power to sweep him from my sight, as if he were no more than like a bug or a fly. If he wanted to do it, he could do it. But here he says, yet I must not. For certain friends that are both his and mine, whose loves I may not drop, but wail his fall, who I myself struck down. So they have friends in common. And if he did use his power to publicly execute Banquo, Banquo's friends, who are also friends with Macbeth, would not be happy with this. They would really question this decision by Macbeth. So Macbeth's got to like do this on the DL. No one can really know what he's up to. So he says he's got to pretend to cry about Banquo's death. And he says, so that's why I'm coming to you and masking the business from the common eye, meaning hiding what I'm doing from the public for many heavy, important reasons. And the second murderer says, we shall, my lord, perform what you command us. And so they're going to go through with it. And the first murderer says, though our lives, like he's acknowledging like this might put their life on the line, but Macbeth interrupts him because Macbeth doesn't care about their lives. He doesn't have time to deal with that. He says, your spirits shine through you, and within this hour, at most, I would advise you where to plant yourself. So he's going to tell them where to go so that they can encounter Banquo. And I will acquaint you with the perfect spy of the time. So he's maybe going to send someone to let them know now is the time, let's go. And the moment on it, for it must be done tonight. So he wants Banquo dead tonight. And something from the palace, away from the palace. I don't want you killing him at my doorstep. Always thought that I require a clearness. So I don't want anything to suggest that I could have been involved in this. And with him to leave no rubs, no botches in the work. Fleance, his son that keeps him company, whose absence is no less material to me, must embrace the fate of that dark hour. So the boy gonna die too. So I want Banquo dead, I want Fleance dead, both dead, don't screw it up. That's what he's saying. Resolve yourselves apart, I'll come to you anon. And they say, we are resolved. And he's like, all right, I'll be in touch, peace. And they leave, and Macbeth says to himself, it is concluded, Banquo, thy soul's flight, if it find heaven, must find it out tonight. So he gone, Banquo gone. And they're going for the boy too. So Fleance might be gone. Stay tuned. This is pretty exciting. All right.